Welcome to the Community Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Kallio, Senior Solutions Marketing Manager for Acre Access Control and Mobile Solutions. We do business with people in our community that we know, like, and trust. My guest and very good friend with me today is Robert Hackenson from Dynamic Influence. Rob has the best job in the world, and what Rob does is dynamic and influences people. Today, we're going to focus on what he does for the education market. Hey Rob, how's it going?
Very well, thank you so much for having me.
So, all right, I gave you a little bit of a build-up here. And so tell everybody, what is it that you do?
So I am an edutainer. It's basically an educational presentations, educational lectures, but I infuse education with magic, illusions, other forms of entertainment, make it a little more fun and interactive.
So you use magic and you said other forms of entertainment. So
Other
what
forms.
else do you do?
So there's humor, hypnosis, where I actually, especially for the college students, when I go and speak at colleges, I'll incorporate hypnosis into it. So they get to see the live reactions, which is a lot of fun, and with a little educational spin to it.
I have to assume that there are some really good humorous moments along the way.
Oh, yes.
And I got a question for you later. Hopefully we'll be able to get into one of those. All right, so you do these programs, and what are the most popular programs then that you're doing, and what's the age levels here that you're talking about?
The most popular program is probably either I do a Vaping Awareness presentation, which is really about decision making, how we make decisions, why we make decisions, the challenges youth face, and like when you have those, when you're faced with that challenging moment, how do you make the right one? And then what are all the different influences that are around you that you that can kind of trip you up and lead you down the wrong path? So that's a really big one. That's especially middle school, high school, as well as parent education nights. Those are really popular there. And then the other, probably a little bit more popular, is the Growing Up in a Digital Age presentation. So that covers everything from technology addiction, social media anxiety, communication, miscommunication, and anything that you post up online to is a digital footprint that's going to follow you around. So that's really, honestly, it starts with grades 3 all the way up through colleges, and then there's also parent and community nights as well.
Oh my God, that scares me to death that you're saying grade 3, that they've got a phone or they're online, or how does this happen?
Some have phones, but they also have, like, you think about it, like just Roblox. You have a tablet, you can go on, you can game with other people. There's Kids Messenger, which, third grade, Kids Messenger is there where kids can communicate with each other through that. There's a lot of other little apps that are out there that entice them, and they see other people doing it, and they're like, oh, this is how we communicate. And for a child going in there and just typing in, it's no big deal. And then it's kind of entertaining, it's fun. And for a parent, you look at it, and sometimes you're like, I'm cooking dinner, fine, here,
Right.
You need that moment.
Sure.
But we have to also remember that this stuff is designed to suck people in. And if you're especially at a young age, you're making these connections. So when you're making these connections and you incorporate these screens into it and that behavior, you're kind of training yourself for long term.
Right. And that definitely scares me, the anxiety level that exists with all the social media, certainly starting at certain ages and going up. Do you see that as a number one reason that that you have clients, schools calling you and asking you about that?
Oh, absolutely. It's the hateful posting, sometimes the inappropriate posting, and just taking a picture and sharing it, because when you're growing up, you see your friends, you see other people, sometimes in compromised situations. Sometimes you look at it like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Let me take a video and post it for everybody else to see.
Right.
Like, why? Would you want that done to you? Then why are you doing it to them? To get these superficial likes.
Right.
But when you go online, you often see like the most outrageous thing is the thing that gets the attention.
Right.
So what's that teaching our kids, and that's what they learn, that's what they see, and then they try to mimic that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, you literally travel the world.
And these issues are all over the entire world.
Right.
Yeah.
But you are a one-man show. So what have you done that has allowed you to expand your reach for your, I'll say audience. I hate to call them customers or clients, but what have you done for yourself to help expand and be more beneficial and for your audience?
I realized, speaking, and I think the furthest I've gone was Australia, and that was one of those times where I got on the plane on Friday, I landed on Sunday, went to the Australian Zoo, which was really cool, spoke Monday, and then got back on the plane on Tuesday.
Oh.
And then landed on Tuesday. It was weird. I remember sitting there the next day, it was like, probably about midnight, and I was just sitting in my living room, just not knowing where, like what time. I just felt weird.
Right.
So you do these things, and you're like, I'm glad I was able to get there. I'm glad I was able to see that. I was and connect with these people across the world. That Australia, but Switzerland, but how do I make something that? How do I reach more? Right? Because you have to try to scale, and if I'm only one person, so what do I do? And that's really where I started. I created an online portal, and it takes my courses, takes my presentations, and it breaks them down into shorter segments. Then each segment has class discussions, class activities, fun interactive things that go along with it.
Okay.
So when I go and speak to a school, I'm able to leave them with something, so it's not just a rah, 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 see you later.
Right.
They can keep that message going. And then also, for those that can't bring me in, I can still reach everybody all over the world and still give them the really important messages.
Okay.
And then the new thing I just launched is the Wellhubs app. And what this does is it allows you to create customized, localized wellness hub for your school and community.
Oh, so right in your community.
Right, it's all localized. So basically you go into the app, you put in your code, and I work with the school or organization, whoever purchases it, and I work with them to figure out what categories they want, what wellness categories. So it could be financial wellness, bullying, depression, anxiety, social media, growing up in a digital world, parenting in a digital world. There can be information for parents, there can be information for students.
Okay.
And it's all customized for them. And I have some interactive video, I have videos, I have interactive information that they can go through, or if they have specific information that they like to use, I can incorporate that in there.
Okay.
And then it's localized because I can have school resources, which is their school resources. And then I can have the local resources in their area. So if a parent or a student is going through something, oftentimes there's so much information and they Google it, but what are they getting? How valid is it?
Right.
Now they're able to get vetted information and also see the really cool resources right there local to them.
Yeah, I think vetted is really important there. So, okay, so all of that is super cool and everything, but what I know is that you're a dad, and your oldest is now
12.
12. Okay. By the way, I saw her the other day, and she is blossoming, and she's beautiful, and
Makes me worried.
yeah. As a dad of daughters myself, right? Mine much older than yours, though.
Yes.
So now that makes it interesting for what you do, though. So because of what you created, how has that helped you to be a dad?
Being able, a couple of things. One, I'm able to know what is happening in schools.
Right.
I think I have more of a finger on the pulse than most parents because I'm dealing with it all the time.
Right.
Doing that research and learning and incorporating that in. And also just being able to talk to the students of all different ages. So that kind of helps me know what my kids are going to be facing or are facing.
Right.
But also as a parent, seeing them, I'm able to take that information and incorporate that into the presentations. So it's I see this, I know what, whether it's a certain lingo or stories that come along with it, and I can relate it to the different audiences. I know what joke's going to hit for middle school as opposed to elementary school as opposed to high school. I know what joke's going to hit for parents, and I have more relatable stories where, it's like, I was talking to my daughter the other day, and we were having this conversation, and 12 years old, it was very pleasant. And you see the parents that are just like, I said pleasant, but it can be implied like, was it pleasant? But every parent knows, like, my daughter's 12, so I was trying to talk to her about, life, and that went well. And you just get that.
Yeah, a good chuckle.
Yeah.
So not only then were you able to take what you learned and made into educational programs to help you as a dad, you now get to use what, as being a dad, now gets to go back into making your presentations better.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
And I think also it helps me whenever I do the parent and community nights, because as a dad of 3, I know my concerns.
Sure.
And with my wife, and I know her concerns. And I think it's something that as parents we can always relate to. We're sitting there and we're all just figuring it out. And you think back to when I was a kid and I'm looking at my parents, I'm like, wow, you know everything. And now as a parent, I'm like, no, they didn't. Like, they're figuring it out too. And we're trying to figure them, like, you punish them, like, did I just turn them into a sociopath? I don't know. Like, what happened? Like, I don't know. So every decision that you make, you're kind of questioning it. Then you look at other parents and you compare yourself to them as well.
Sure.
I make the joke, and even online, like, parents, we go online, we go on social media, and we look, and I have parents, oh my God, look at what they're doing. Why am I not making my clothes by hand or organic hemp? It's ridiculous, but we see and we compare, and I think we're just kind of needing to take that step back and looking at our actions and just understand, anything that we're doing, as long as you're doing it with that love, as long as you're able to take that step back, if you make a decision, you follow it through. Even if sometimes we're emotional and we need to
Right.
we need to be better and be truthful and talk with our kids, and if they know it's coming from a place of love and that we're consistent and we care about them, we create that structure for them, we follow through, in the end we'll be okay.
Yeah. So listening to what you're saying, I think one of the really cool things that you do is you're incorporating it within the community. So it's not just for the kids, it's for the entire school, it's for the community of the school, and you're actually giving a lot of help to parents. And as a dad myself, right, that's, yes, gosh, there's no manual that anybody ever gave us along the way.
No. Well, they used to say, it takes a village, right?
Right.
The problem is, as busy as life is, we get into our little silos. So how can we bring it back where everybody gets back on the same page and is fighting for the same things?
Right. All right. So now you get to we're all dealing with the public probably at some point in some way, right? But you're dealing with the public literally all the time. That's like your job. So you must have endless stories. I actually have been to one of your hypnosis shows, which I was crying, laughing at something that happened, which is not appropriate for me to share. But when you see me, if you ask, I will tell you. But do you have any stories that you could share with us that are pretty good?
Yeah, I have stories. There's quite a few. Some things that just are funny for me, and some things that are going to be funny for others. Like, I was doing a presentation a few weeks ago, and it was morning. It was to the freshman class, so freshman high school students, which pleasant in the morning. And you go there, and they're all just starting the presentation, trying to get a little energy in the room, and it's just flat. And I tell a joke, and it was just silence. And there was literally a cricket in the room, and all of a sudden you just heard like chirp, 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 and in my head, I was just hysterically laughing. I'm like, and nobody else was laughing at that either. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? That is comedy. I couldn't make that happen. That was amazing. Right. So there are things like that which are great.
Right.
There was one thing that happened. Whenever I speak, especially if I'm out of country, and you're dealing with language barriers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And also
sure.
sometimes, depending on where I am in the United States, there's different nationalities, different languages. So sometimes they'll have interpreters.
Okay.
And I just need to be conscious of that, because as I'm speaking, I need to make sure I pause, because I'll say something, then the interpreter will say it, and the other people will have headphones on, and they're listening.
Sure.
So there's a delay.
Right.
And the thing that was the hardest to get used to was saying something and like getting a laugh, and then there would be a pause, and then another laugh. So you're just like, yeah, there it is, okay. And then I just kind of learned like that's the timing to use. So again, a little amusing thing for me. This was amusing for everybody.
Okay.
I was speaking at a school. It was a college in Nebraska, and the skit that we were doing, because it was on decision making and things that can happen in college and making sure you're making the right choices, and we had talked about pregnancy.
Okay.
Unplanned pregnancy, things happen.
Sure.
So we do this hypnosis skit. So we have these two people. I said, okay, I'm gonna count to 3, you're gonna open up your eyes, you're not feeling that great, your stomach's, you're gonna go to the doctor, you're the doctor, you're gonna tell her she's pregnant, so they do that. I said, okay, now you have to tell the boyfriend. So I get this other boy. What I didn't realize is they were actually boyfriend, girlfriend in real life. Didn't know that part.
Okay.
So now they're up there. I'm like, you have to tell him that you're pregnant. And she ever lovingly takes his hands and goes, I'm pregnant. And the guy's a little bigger than me. He was probably like 6'1", 6'2".
Okay.
And I just watched his eyes roll up to the back of his head and just pass out. And I tried to catch him as much as poof, no pain.
So he actually hit the stage? He
actually hit the stage. He was fine. But it was just one of those things where when you talk about hypnosis, you're really tapping in to how people would really react to something.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they believe that just happened.
Right.
I'm talking to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind reacts to whatever the conscious mind says. As a hypnotist, I kind of take over as that conscious mind.
Okay.
So if I say a dog just jumped through a wall, it's not necessarily that you see it happen, but your brain just got that suggestion, and you're going to react as though it just really happened.
Right.
So in his head, that just happened.
Right.
And that was the truest reaction that I could ever have, I couldn't write, that's...
Okay, so now I need to know, though, because as I said about the show, when I went to your show, the story I can't tell, I was sitting in the back of the room, and when the comment was made under hypnosis, the room, I watched it just explode, like it almost took the roof off of the auditorium that we were in. I could literally see it happen immediately, which was just phenomenal to witness. What was the reaction when that guy fell?
Oh my, everybody, yeah, same. It was just a wave, and you could just hear the roar coming up. And the other part is, she looked at it, was like, because that was, what's wrong with that? That's how you react? Right, that was her reaction to that too. So it was just a really fun experience with that. It hasn't happened since, but now every time I do that skit, I always kind of brace for it, just to make sure.
That's great. That's great. Well, Rob, it certainly has been an absolute blast chatting with you. Why don't you share with everybody your website so they know where to go to find out more about what you do?
Yep, please go to dynamicinfluence.com. That will take you to everything when it comes to the edutainment. And when it comes to the Wellhubs app, it's Wellhubs, WELLHUBS.app.
Great. Rob, thanks so much. It was an absolute pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Have a great day. That was fun.